Mexico City feels alive in a way that few places are. Every corner is filled with the smell of meat and masa hitting the grill, the sound of traffic, vendors, and street music, and the taste of smoke, lime, and history. We got off our red-eye at 6 a.m. and wanted to beat the crowds at one of the most popular bakeries, Panaderia Rosetta. The line moves really fast, and inside we're overwhelmed by how many beautiful pastries there were. We got the refreshing tamarind cold brew with a roasted cornmeal pinole concha and the famous guava roll, filled with the caramelized guava jam and rich cream cheese. We walked off the pastries and I loved how the streets blend the city and nature together. For our second breakfast, we stopped by Chilpa, which does their make-your-own chilaquiles. We had to try the fresh fruit, and for the chilaquiles, you get to mix and match your salsas and protein, and we got the suadero and flank steak that were so tender. Now with our 2 breakfasts in and our stomachs full, we did some exploring around Roma Norte and checked out some shops. All that exploring worked up an appetite and it was time for lunch at El Pescadito. You can watch them fry all the seafood fresh, and our favorites were actually the shrimp and fried peppers stuffed with cheese. There's a cheese pull in every bite, and the roasted pepper has a really nice smoky earthiness. We saw there were some meat tacos across the street, so of course we had to stop by. We got the costilla rib taco and the ribeye, and it was really tender, but felt like it was lacking flavor without the salsas. After lunch, we took a break with some coffee, and we got to sit down outside and just watch the cars whiz by. We stopped by this bookstore that has a little cafe and also a bar and a balcony, and it was really all in one. I love visiting different markets, and it was really nice to see the different kinds of fresh produce and goods they had. We stopped by for some afternoon churros, and they were so light and fluffy and had such a satisfying crunch. We walked past Park Mexico and we went back to our Airbnb and passed out. Now recharged, we stopped by Taqueria Orinoco for dinner, and we're a bit sus because everyone here is a foreigner, but it was absolutely delicious. We love the pastor and how the edges caramelize into the sweet smoky crust, and there's these streaks of glistening fat that are delicious. After dinner, we went to Lucha Libre, and it was absolute chaos getting in the arena. With an ice cold beer, salt, and tajin, it was time for the show. On our second day, we definitely want to take it more chill, and we headed over to Coyoacan. We started our day at this cafe and were a bit overwhelmed by how many options there were. I really liked this horchata ice, and it was a lifesaver on a hot day. We were getting hungry, so we headed over to the Coyoacan market, and it was absolutely huge inside. There's so many vendors to choose from, but this tostada spot bought so many stalls that we had to try it out. Each tostada was loaded, and my favorite was the mole, and I loved how deep and rich the flavors were. We were recommended this spot that does stuffed chilaquiles, so we also had to try it out. We got it with a squash blossom salsa that was bright and earthy, and the chilaquiles were crispy on the outside and stuffed with chicharron and cheese. There's so much of the market to explore, and my favorite part was this tortilla machine. It took so much self-control to resist these chicharron stands, but they also looked so good. We got this passion fruit bar before heading out and did some exploring around the neighborhood. We stopped by this artisan flea market that had all these different types of crafts and goods. After a short walk, it was time for a swat at the Frida khalo museum, and it's located in her beautiful home and goes through her life and art. Every street is filled with these street vendors, and we finally gave in at this churro stall for one stuffed with dulce de leche. After heading back, we went to get a pick-me-up at Odette, which is another bakery. Their matcha wasn't that good, but it was nice to sit in the park and enjoy some pastries. We still had some time to kill before dinner, so we checked out some shops with some interesting ceramics and home goods. For dinner, we headed over to Meroma, which does its own Mexican take on Italian food. The fried squash blossoms had such a nice pop of brightness. The other pastas were perfectly cooked and al dente, and we loved how meaty the bolognese was. For dinner, we waited almost 3 hours at Handshake Bar, which is one of the top-ranked bars in the world. Each drink was so creative and unique, like this PB&J drink with bread made out of white chocolate. They take the core elements of each cocktail through clarifications, and they're able to make their own combinations like pina colada without the heaviness. And after a few drinks, we had to wash it down with Anthony Bourdain's favorite late night taco spot. We got the lengua, tripa, and al pastor, and even though it was a bit dry, they definitely hit the spot for a late night craving. After almost non-stop eating, on our last day we are taking a chill by starting off our day at lunch at Castacan, which is crispy caramelized pork belly from Yucatan. Each bite hits with a crunch, salt, and a burst of savory fat that melts into tortilla and is so good with a bright green salsa. We spent the afternoon at the Anthropology Museum, and they had artifacts from the different regions and ancient civilizations in Mexico. It was really cool to see the Aztec calendar sunstone. They have a lot of exhibits both inside and outside. As we were heading out, we stopped by the Story Loco stand. They put corn, chilies, and cheese in a Doritos bag, and it was definitely degen, but we had to try it out. And to work off the food, we did some walking and eventually some shopping as well. For dinner, we had reservations at Entremar, which is an upscale Mexican seafood restaurant. We started with some ceviche, and the tuna tostada had a satisfying crunch. And outside of the seafood, the different sauces brought a lot of freshness and depth to each bite. They're famous for their grilled fish, which is served with red and green sauce, but they're out of that, but they're able to do it with octopus. The octopus was perfectly grilled and so tender, and this definitely was my favorite dish. As we reached the end of our trip, I was so thankful of all the different culture, life, and history I got to experience, and I already can't wait to come back to CDMX.